It's Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Villas, and this week we're featuring Benjamin Ayimba. Now, who doesn't know Benja, as he's commonly known? He's a former player for the Kenya national 7s and 15s team, captaining the team a number of times. He's also former coach of the Kenya national team, and he's now an organizer of events and also TV personality. It's Benjamin Ayimba on Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Villas. Benja, I can call you Benja.
Yes, you can, any day.
A few grey hairs since I last.
Yes, quite a few. I'm getting wiser and richer.
Money's coming in?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It's a bit, but I hope it works this time.
Yeah, thanks very much for joining the show. Of course, privileged.
Always a pleasure, man.
A legend in rugby. I mean, your name is synonymous.
So you say, Sean. So you say.
You are a legend. You are a legend.
No, I'm happy, thanks.
How did you get into rugby? I mean, what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory in rugby is actually my mother stumbling onto an exhibition match at the showground. Then I was pretty young, and she liked the sport because she couldn't understand how grown men were chasing each other after. Then it was a leather ball. And she found that very hilarious, and guys really fighting for that. So that was my first experience with rugby. I think I was maybe 9 or 10 years old then. And
when you think about it, okay, you came into it. Is there any idol or somebody that you kind of looked up to and said, okay, I want to? Funny
again. Because I only started the sport late in high school, I never really followed it from when I was young. So I never really had rugby players who I thought were that good. Actually, I started thinking about idols when I was in my third year in high school, and that was Zinzan Brook, the legendary New Zealand back rower, and that's how I wanted to be. He was a rough customer, a very, very rough customer, and skillful as well. So I believe I lived up to that dream that I had.
Okay, school rugby.
Yes.
When did club rugby now come into the equation?
Club rugby, of course, after my fourth year. This was 1995, and the reason why I went to Impala was because there's a former player of my school who was there. He was my number 9. I think mostly inspired by him. It's called Julius Nariki. We used to call him Ngomi then. Ngomi has its own Sheng roots from Kibra, which meant a rough guy basically. So he's the guy who actually influenced me to go to Impala, and from then on I think I just picked it up.
You were also coming into rugby at a time when there was like massive change happening in Kenyan rugby. We just had the Safari Sevens was now
getting
starting
there,
to be organised and everything like
that.
Just give us a flavour of what it was with the period of transition happening.
I think for me it was the best time. I've actually got the best opportunity in the beginning of all this, in the midst of the rugby changing from what it was a Saturday afternoon pastime to a serious thing like Safaricom says, the now Safaricom Sevens, and it brought a whole new way of how we looked at things. Kenya now was going to participate against foreign teams consistently over years, and that created the best opportunity for the growth of the game.
Fascinating story so far, fascinating period of rugby in which you, of course, were a part of. I tell you what, we'll continue in just a moment with Benjamin Ayimba, the former captain, coach, organizer, you name it, of Kenya Rugby. We'll be back in just a moment with Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Villas. Welcome back to Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Villas, and of course we're with Benjamin Ayimba. Benja, let's go from your school setup now, club setup, let's move to the national team. When did you get your first call up?
I got called up in 1996. I'd been trying throughout 95, but because we're playing in the lower league, then of course, and the situation then, you couldn't just get called up in the national team. Coming from a school like mine, Maseno School, guys didn't even know how to pronounce it then. So I got my first call up in 1996 during the Safari Sevens, the inaugural one.
Okay, so you get called up. You've had a distinguished career. Tell us when you were elevated to captain.
I was elevated captain end of 99 going to 2000, and that was as a result of a misunderstanding between Sami Kakame, then the captain, and the coach. They didn't get along very well.
Benja, just tell us about the transition. How did you get into the setup?
It was pretty. I had to do it. There wasn't really much of a choice.
Had you reached the limit in terms of your
No,
playing
not
career?
really, not really. In fact, the reason why I had to be coach is because there was nobody else who wanted to be coach then. The team wasn't doing as well.
How did it reach that stage?
It's because there was nobody who was there to be dedicated. All our coaches decided they wanted to work, to do their 9 to 5s, and they're never going to have enough time to run around in the RB series. And I'd just come from England then. It was a season I'd come from England.
Sorry, what year was this now?
This was 2006. So I finished my season in England, came and played the internationals here, and by September there was nobody ready to be coach. In October, the union came in and said, "We're looking for a coach and we don't have any choice but to ask you guys to be coaches." That was myself, Oscar, and Felix Ocheng.
Benja, it's fair to say that when Mike Friday came on board, there was almost a split within the rugby community. Yeah?
There was a split, it was clear, and the only people who supported Mike Friday was the fans who did not understand, and Mwangi Mudee, who thinks hiring a coach from God knows from where is being a tough guy. So there was a huge split. Especially I was not a supporter of that regime at all.
And not only that, it seems like the union was almost brainwashed, thinking that foreign was the way to go.
And it's always the same thing. Even now, that's the same thing that's happening. Mwangi Mudee would rather dish out $1 million bob to a foreigner than give. We can't afford it than give a local guy 150,000 shillings. That to me is absurd. What does he think? Unless his shortcomings are what he's trying to cover up with the coaches that he keeps hiring.
Fascinating stuff, Benjamin Ayimba. And we'll be back in just a moment to talk about Paul True, amongst other factors affecting Kenyan sports, and not only that, the Masaku Sevens. Sean Carter-Villis with you on Sports Chat. Welcome back to Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Villis. We're with the legendary Benjamin Ayimba. Benja, it's fair to say that period, Mike Friday, when he was forced to resign or fired, depending on who you believe, it was a very it was a very acrimonious period, particularly within the Kenya Rugby Union.
It was always going to be. They actually realized that Mike Friday was selling them air, and unfortunately they realized a little too late, and there was the reason why Mike Friday was strongly into this job is because he knew the Samurai brand was going to sell. He's a director of Samurai brand. He never put the union into the picture. So when the union did its investigations and wondered why the guy was so passionate about the job, it was about selling Samurai kit, and only realized a little late when he's recovered all the monies that he could have ever spent. Yes.
From your point of view, is Paul True the right man for the job?
He could be the right man. But the most unfortunate thing about Paul True's coaching contract is that he wrote it himself, and he basically say that whether I perform or not, you only can judge me by the Olympics performance or qualifying for the Olympics, which is quite simple. We'll definitely qualify for the Olympics.
Taking the easy way out?
It definitely is. I would do that if I knew there was $1 million shillings hanging loosely, with a naive chairman. I definitely would do that.
Is he naive?
He definitely is, or he's pretending to be, because I don't understand why he's spending so much money. What that coaching staff is being paid in excess of 3 million shillings a month.
Which we can't afford.
We definitely cannot afford.
Benja, it's been such a fascinating career for you. Now you're more into organizing tournaments. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing now?
Right now we are doing Masaku Sevens. It's just been a huge success, and I think it's what rugby has lacked ever since Mwangi Mudee got into power, the chairmanship. Rugby has lost its culture, its fun, its outgoing nature, and that's what we're trying to introduce in Masaku, and it's happened very well. The first year we had 5,000 to 7,000 guys. We are hitting 30,000 in the second year, and this year it's going to be something in the upwards of 50,000. So it's growing in leaps and bounds.
Benja, we've got a young president in place. He used to play rugby at Saints, Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
That really sort of bodes well for rugby in general.
Very enthusiastic, and I think I like the way he's approached it as well. He's really taken it on board, and I think that will help us a lot because he then can call the shots. He's a patron now, so he's really involved in it, and that's good for us. In the past, we haven't had any government. President Moi's government, President Kibaki's government has not been as involved as he is now.
And just finally, for you, your future?
My future is definitely rugby and more rugby. I'm into TV now. I'm doing a rugby show called the 254 Show. It's getting there. It's a web based program now, and we hope it will get its momentum and just keep informing Kenyans on what's going on in the country about rugby.
Benjamin Ayimba, as always, thank you so much. We really appreciate the time.
That's not true.
Okay, that's Benjamin Ayimba, fascinating character, rugby legend, and he's speaking to us on Sports Chat with Sean Carter-Vilas. And of course, we'll have more individuals. We'll be talking more about sporting issues right here on the show. See you next week.